Hey, we have a call to order for the Bartlett Economic Development Commission meeting of October 14th, 2024. Well, Tony?
Jerry Cabasco,
Here.
Kirsten Erickson. Robert Perry is not here. Bruce Suffern,
Here.
Mary Smith representing the Chamber of Commerce. Adam Lewinsky is not present. Robert Gorski
Here.
and Mike Densford. Okay, thank you for coming. We have a quorum tonight.
Okay, next agenda item would be approval of the previous minutes, which were back in August 12th. Do we have any discussion or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Number 4 on the agenda is public comments. I see we're loaded up again with people, so
Full house.
okay. A lot of ghosts out there. Next agenda item, Inaugural Bartlett Restaurant Week. Tony, can you elucidate about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd like to. We're talking about doing our first restaurant week early in 2025, but of course, these things take some months of planning ahead. And so we had alluded to it. Oh, and I'm going to state for the record that Commissioner Perry is here. There you go. Anyhow, this is something that we had alluded to briefly. I think last meeting, we were going over the branding strategy and some of the things that we'd be promoting in the coming months, including trade shows, local events, things like Oktoberfest, and also our inaugural restaurant week. So I'm going to make some assumptions that most of you are familiar with the concept of restaurant weeks, but I'm going to go over a few key points in ours, and with keeping in mind that it'll be flushed out in the coming months. And as members, this is kind of my conclusion of it, but as members of the EDC and the local business community, the chamber, and all your business endeavors and organizations you're in, we want to make sure that we cue you in first. So anyhow, Restaurant Week, obviously it's a strategy to boost local establishments during a typical slow period. I know everybody here and that we've all been around Bartlett and or the Chicago area for many years or perhaps decades. So I won't go on and on about how the weather gets around January and February around here, where it's not such a great day to sit outside at your favorite place, and it's getting dark at about 4 p.m, and you can see that there's a lot of slow nights during that short month. And also I can tell you, it's in the memo, but not necessarily the slide, but I looked at about 6 or 7 other towns around here in the northwest suburbs and the western suburbs, included some of their dates, and suffice it to say that they're all pretty much in February. Flip into it real fast. I looked at St. Charles, early February, Chicago, January 20th through February 5th, Glen Ellen's late February, Geneva's late January. Anyhow, there's lots of towns around here that do dining week around that time of the year. Checkmark number 2 is that we're going to encourage, really we'd like to require, but we're going to strongly encourage restaurants to come up with some kind of offers. Again, if you've seen these restaurant weeks in some other communities, sometimes they have a fixed price menu, sometimes they come up with some new chef special or whatever the case, maybe a family special. I've gone to a couple of them myself over the years, and that's typically the case at these. And we also will be encouraging discounts if possible. We know that not everybody who participates is going to want to engage in a discounting, but again, it's something we're going to at least encourage the participants to come up with something besides just saying it's Restaurant Week and we're participating. The benefits include greater visibility. Attracting new customers is always one of the goals. And what we talk about here, building brand loyalty for the restaurants. So obviously, it's not just to draw in new customers, but maybe a good reminder during that cold time of year when people see it, whether they see it on Facebook or on the village website or hear about it from the EDC, that they remember, oh yeah, I should go patronize this restaurant or bar that I like during this very cold and slow time of year. Economic development, why we talk about it here, business retention. Again, I did some reading on it, and also I've been doing a few business visits to some restaurants of late, and one of them in particular told me about how February tends to be a slower month after the holiday season, and a lot of people incur a lot of credit debt over that time of year and might cut back on their dining out. Maybe they should cut back on it, but whatever the case may be, a big restaurant that I visited with recently, when I had mentioned we were thinking of doing this, liked the idea of doing it kind of post-holidays during that slower time of year. And I can't forget to mention the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, we realize that not every restaurant is a chamber member, but many of them are. And also, for those that aren't, we encourage them to be. And actually, quite a few of them, I've noticed, have joined maybe in, like, say, the last year because they've wanted to hold some kind of anniversary ceremony or a ribbon cutting or something after they've already been open for a year. I've been encouraging the restaurants to do that and to join the Chamber of Commerce. So it's not just a one-way street from the village. We're going to partner with our longtime partner in the business community here to promote it. And one of the things we're going to ask you as commissioners, not necessarily tomorrow morning to go, telling every restaurant that you know about it, but in the coming weeks and months, as you patronize the local establishments. I mean, one of our business owner and property owner commissioners here has 2 eating and drinking establishments right in his property. You've got another commissioner here who's got probably 6 or 7 restaurants. I know you go to them a lot too in your center. And I mean, we're primarily gonna get the word out through email blasts and social media, but I'm gonna ask each of you, sometimes commissioners have asked me over the years, what can, after I do this report and we talk about it, something more tangible, something that you can get a little hands-on, and this would be a good case of that. So I'm going to ask you again in a meeting between now and February again to really help us spread the word. I know we ask you that a lot, but we really want this to be successful. We don't want it to be like 5 places open, participating, and they're all selling pizza. We want to have a nice cross-section of businesses. And last thing I'll say about it is a lot of the restaurants that I communicate with and that staff does and Scott does, they like this kind of thing. They're not You know, it's not something they'll say, oh, yeah, I don't want to bother with this. I think most of the I've had the pleasure of working with almost every restaurant in Bartlett in some capacity, whether it's through a BETA grant or helping them get their licenses or remodel or whatever the case may be. And most of them are really happy to participate in things like this. So really, at this point, I was kind of throwing it out there informational, but also we'd be glad to seek any and all of your input on it. Can you make sure you speak into the microphone too?
Apologize.
And yeah.
Learning the rules. Just a quick question. So if the restaurant places a discount, some sort of special, whatever, does every person who walks in the restaurant get that discount? Or is it like when I worked at the library, we had to show our library cards? Or, you know, is there some, do they have to mention it? Is there some way, or is it just you're asking them to give this mass discount to everybody who walks in?
That's a great question, and we have not discussed it yet,
Okay.
but I think the way it should work, at least in my opinion, you should probably want somebody to mention it or know about it. A long time ago, we used to do these print coupons, and
I remember.
people would walk in and mention, but Bruce used to do them, and we would say, must present it. But you know what, Mary, it's going to be up to, we're not going to try to force too much upon the participants, but I think it would be nice. It kind of ties into everything we've been doing. Most of the meetings at the EDC, we're talking about branding, and, we would like for that to tie in to our branding. I think that's the way we'll advertise it. We'll have it on our landing page that we've put together for it. And kind of a long answer short, I think it would be a nice idea for people to mention they're doing Restaurant Week. But then again, if Pasta Mia wants to give everybody
Whatever it is, yeah.
10% off on pizza for a week, I mean,
Yeah. Okay, good.
yeah.
Tony, in your experience, how have national chains participated in an event like this? So take McDonald's, Wendy's, Culver's, KFC. How do national chains, I don't know that they would offer a discount, right? Because they are who they are, right?
Right.
So how have those types of restaurants participated in an event like this?
The way they do it, it's a big difference. Some of them are corporate stores,
Right.
and others are franchises. So some of the ones that you mentioned, those are good examples. And off the top of my head, it's hard for me to say exactly which ones are which. But for instance, the McDonald's they do their own corporate deals, whatever it may be. But when it comes to, so some of them, the answer is some of them don't really participate because they're corporate stores. And if you ask the manager, they say, I have to ask my regional manager, they have to go to the national manager, But Culver's is a great example because that's a franchise. They're a real community, or even though it's a chain, they're very community oriented. We can call the owner on the phone. He picks up the phone right away. And that's a good example of the type of business that I think would participate, but others wouldn't, probably like KFC or Taco Bell. But a lot of them some of them are franchises, and some of them can't vary from the franchise agreements. I think Subway maybe is a little bit like that. But there's other franchises that the owners have that capability to participate if they want. I don't think we anticipate a lot of the chain restaurants doing it, but there's some of the other smaller ones. Like we've had the owner at Taylor Street Pizza here for a BETA grant. He owns 4 or 5 of them. Like he's the kind of owner who will participate in something like this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tony, when we solicit the different restaurants in the village, and you guys send out that email, are you gonna include things like maybe suggesting that they do their gift card promo again? So maybe what they ran at Christmas for a gift card promo, bring that back up to kind of drive people in the door and get some additional cash, if that's something. I think sometimes we have to remind them of things they can do, or they kind of forget.
That's a good idea.
So if it was in the email and I was
Yeah.
gonna do it, it might make me go like, oh, and I wanna do that as well.
If we send it out early enough, that's the kind of ideas we're kind of looking for tonight. I know we've done that separately leading up to the holiday season, and this is a little bit after that. Might be two separate things, but I know, I think Scott and Joey was here last year and reached out to some of the restaurants for that and found a few of them wanting to participate, but I think that's a good idea for us to pursue that again this year.
The Cocoa Crawls, the second week of December, the majority of restaurants do that. So it'd be nice to have the groundwork for all this laid out prior to then, and they could advertise for this as well as the gift card program during Cocoa Crawl week.
We just find at the chamber that we kind of really have to hold their hand and make suggestions for them, that a lot of times it's like, oh, I want to do it, but then they go to do it, and it's, I mean, because really, their passion is their restaurant, right? Not necessarily their business, so we like to just kind of put those things there.
And just to make sure that they share it with their employees, because I've been down that path before too, where someone walks in and says, I'm here for my 50% off my pizza, and they go, I don't know what you're talking about, so that's kind of tough too. Then they're,
Smiling here, because I've experienced that as a customer after having worked with the very business owner to do.
same.
That's another really good point we're going to incorporate in our communications with them.
And I
Maybe
think-
even in bold, please inform your
And I think in terms of, the whole discount offered, it's that, putting the cart before the horse, right? Because they're struggling anyway for business, and then when you ask them to give a discount, it's one of those, what kind of reaction are we gonna get? So to share that, the really hit home on the point that this is really, that again, marketing efforts cost some upfront, so hopefully, even though they're offering that discount, they're going to get enough business that it's going to better their bottom line, right?
Right.
And a lot of them will do like a tasting menu or a specific thing. So a lot of like the Chicago ones, it's like they want to put something that maybe you didn't know that they have on the menu or something that they really feature, and then they just kind of put like a discount on just that particular item. So there's a lot of different ways for the restaurants to do it.
Yeah,
so,
they don't have to do it across the
yeah.
board, yeah.
And I think maybe as the chamber, we might want to just have a conversation one-off and say, for the chamber members that are restaurants, maybe do like a dine around, and if you visit 2 during the week or something like that, we enter you in a drawing for taking the week off and dining around town. So, I mean, that's certainly something we can look at.
Did you think about that too, or no
That's
prizes?
just what I wrote down here. I said, do something like the Cocoa Crawl, where they go to
Yep,
some sort of stamp or something
yeah.
to promote them to go out.
Should we be concentrating more on the sit-down restaurants versus the
All of them,
fast food takeouts?
all of them. Let them pick and choose what they're gonna do. I mean,
I would think fast food takeout probably doesn't suffer as much as the sit-down restaurants. Walk in, sit down and eat.
yeah, anyone who wants to participate. in
Yeah,
something in a restaurant.
we'll send it out to everyone from,
I mean, everybody should participate, but I think, I don't know, just from my personal experience, from my observations, it just seems like things slow down more for the family-owned, come on in and sit-down restaurants versus KFC and Burger King and all that. They seem to keep going at a fairly stable rate versus other restaurants that have low periods.
that's true. That's true. And then, I mean, going back to very early in the year, or coming up next year, early in the year, we go over those economic indicators every year, and we see that the food and drink revenues for the village as a whole have basically been going up and up and up. You know, even during the pandemic year of 2020 had like the largest sales year. There still were some struggling, but you're right, a lot of the fast, you know, to answer the earlier question, I mean, we are really hoping it's more Bartlett unique businesses that participate, but it would be open to anybody. They've all invested in the community, and as you've seen over the years, we've added more restaurants. It's gone beyond just replacing one restaurant that closes with another restaurant. You've seen people come here before you, like 120 Live and Indian Express a long time ago, and businesses that have taken locations that were like office buildings and turned them into restaurants. So as somebody who's done the dining guide for many years here, since we started that during the recession in about 08 or 09, the number's gone up by 15 or so eating establishments. We're gonna invite any and all of them to participate.
Remember during COVID when we did that Taste of the Towns promo where we like had the hashtag and we asked people to, take a picture and hashtag it or whatever during that time, and then whoever submitted a picture or 3 pictures or whatever it was, we put them in some sort of drawing if they shared it on social media and tagged the village or the chamber or the restaurant or whomever. We could kind of set some guidelines like that to try to encourage people to get out, and people love stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a hashtag of, Bartlett Restaurant Week, You Belong, and just kind of have it.
Yeah.
We also should use the You Belong selfie frame for some of the advertising ahead of time, taking pictures of like the different restaurants that are going to be there, tying our branding to that restaurant week. We already have that, so.
Can we do these signs for windows or no? Like, do we have any budget? Do we as in you?
I'm sorry, signs for windows?
Do we as in you have any budget? Like the You
Yeah.
Belong in Bartlett restaurant?
Yeah,
No, like-
the chamber's paying for that.
Yeah, right.
It
Did
would,
we, and by we, I mean you.
it would be cheap enough if you did it far enough in advance to get like a window cling that they could take down and just say, that we're participating in Restaurant Week because you belong in Bartlett.
I would love to have some uniform ad for Cocoa Crawl Week that's very simple, coming soon, Restaurant Week, boom, there's the link, there's the QR code. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, put the QR code on it. I mean, I would really explore like how much a window cling is, and once a restaurant commits to it, put the QR on there, and they can just keep updating the information as to what their special is or what their tasting menu is. And people are walking in and walking past that, so good way of getting it out there.
Do a big blitz after the first of the year, Restaurant Week, come on out and eat and all that stuff.
I mean, absolutely. It's going to be, like we're talking about, it's going to be on social media. We haven't done print ads for a long time, but we could even consider that. We're going to get the word out.
What's the budget? Is there a budget for this promotion?
It's going to be couched within our general marketing budget. We have some marketing funds in addition to, most of our marketing we're spending on our branding, community branding promotion, but there's some additional funds to do a few things like you mentioned, like window clings or something we can print out in-house.
So to get the restaurant excited about participating, promotion is usually the tool that they would be looking for,
Right.
which costs money or time. What would that consist of? How are you going to get them turned on that they are indeed going to get exposure that heretofore they have not?
If you look at the way that we set up the Cocoa Crawl and the way we partnered with the chamber, most of it is just time spent behind the desk, a lot of email blasts, phone calls, things of that nature. I think we had 36 businesses participate in the last Cocoa Crawl, and we did a survey, and I think every single one of them were really happy with how it was ran. So we're using that as a playbook.
It's amazing how much,
Restaurant Week?
how much play the newsletter has, the Bartlett, as well as that library newsletter. I'm telling you what, if you get that in the library newsletter, you reach a whole different crowd that you don't reach with social media. I mean, because we get people, and we had almost 400 people signed up for the Cocoa Crawl. And I mean, honestly, we did very, we did some promotion, but no paid, nothing paid promotion.
I mean, the Bartlett itself goes to every single address. And some folks are saying that sending something in the mail is actually becoming more of an effective marketing tool than emails or ads. So, I mean, we literally send it to every single resident in the Bartlett. So in terms of marketing and making sure that the residents know,
So-
we try our best to do that.
So that I understand that now. In the Bartlett, it would just give the names of the restaurants participating. It would not give the enticements that the restaurants would be offering. It would just be, this place is participating, this place is participating, and this place is participating. As opposed to what, when I read this, I'm going to go, oh, wow, I can go to 120 Live and get a 2-for-1 cocktail.
Yeah, I think if there's room that, depending on how many participate, and if you could have a succinct description, you couldn't put in if someone wanted, $5 off pizza and $3 off a hamburger and $2 off a beer, and, you couldn't necessarily have room for all those, but like with the main one, and, visit.
You basically would
additional
just
specials.
drive people to look at that business, like 120. Oh, I see 120's on there, let me go to their Facebook or website and,
Put the QR on it, and, that way you can just
the
keep the
QR could
QR up
have
to
all
date.
the-
The
the-
QR
yeah,
could have the
all the
offers in
stuff,
it
yeah.
as well, so that
a
way
good
you could.
point.
If you did have somebody who wanted so many different little offers, because that's what works for their business, then, put it in the link of the QR.
So alcohol, of course, is a big profit item. And so for a lot of these restaurant establishments, I'm thinking a suggestion to them might be a happy hour kind of a concept.
It's a good thought.
A
You
free
know,
drink with an entree or something,
Right. And because you're going to need some kind of uniformity. Otherwise, people are going to go, oh, I shouldn't have gone to your restaurant because he's doing this and you're only doing that. There's going to be some kind of bickering between restaurants.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Restaurant Week is kind of weird because some people will give just a cash discount, a certain amount, certain dollar off, or a certain percentage. Some people will give a free drink with an entree. Some people will have a tasting menu. Some people will give a free dessert. It's really a hodgepodge of what they're looking to promote.
My cousin's restaurant in Park Ridge, when they do their week, he just has a prefix menu. You come in, I think it's like $50. It comes with a cocktail, appetizer, main, and dessert. There's no discounts, it's just, you want to participate with that, it's a prefix menu, there's no discount at all.
That's a good way to do it too, because they don't necessarily have to offer a discount as long as they have a family style.
Another concept would be is if you had a cause or a charity that proceeds would be donated to encourage people like now, the hurricane victims or some kind of a cause that the community might rally around. I mean, it's Arts in Bartlett, for example. If you go to Pasta Mia on a certain day, he'll donate 10% to the Arts in Bartlett. You could have Arts in Bartlett night. You could have
Yeah, I have a lot of those. Arts and Bartlett
Bartlett
does.
Raiders night. If you come out this night, X% goes to the Bartlett Raiders, or,
They do that.
Yeah, we do.
right, right. But I mean, that week could be filled with each night a different orientation to get different groups of people.
I would tell you, working with stuff like that, with charities, the bigger the crowd, the harder it is to handle, because you may not have a business that wants to be a part of a certain charity, or would say, like, I do a Special Olympics thing with the Raiders, and I had a mother upset that we weren't too specific and not doing something for Down syndrome children. It gets, if they did something, if there's a Bartlett charity, yeah, I could see something like that, but it's,
I think our first year, I think the two priorities should be to provide a platform
yeah.
and promotion. We don't,
The Cocoa.
Restaurants are
I
gonna
think the
decide. They're the-
Cocoa thing is,
the restaurants are the
all of
experts.
that works great.
I don't want to tell a restaurant what to do. I want to give them a platform and promotion.
Yeah,
They're the experts. They know their
Get 'em
inventory,
in
they
the
know
door.
their staff,
get them in the.
whatever they want to do.
And they know what's going on in their place. I mean, it might be a restaurant who finally is like doing desserts now, so they're just gonna wanna give somebody a free dessert when they come in because they really wanna promote that they're in desserts now, or maybe they've got new appetizers, or whatever it is. Each one of them is gonna be so different. I just think in the email, we've gotta give them enough suggestions because you really have to feed them a little bit. So I think all of those are great suggestions to put in there and just say, since it's our inaugural one, we really want it to be successful. Here's some thoughts on what you could do. You select what works for you.
Could I maybe invite them, so when you send this email out, invite them to maybe a meeting here
Perfect.
before? Just, and, I mean, maybe they show up, maybe they don't, but maybe hearing some of what we're saying might,
Good idea, honestly.
Yeah, when we did our first Cocoa Crawl, we had a Zoom meeting with all of them.
yeah, I think it'd be great. I love the Cocoa Crawl. I think it's an awesome event.
But this is completely different than the Cocoa Crawl.
You know, it's completely different, but
You're
You
driving
can say
people.
you can promote it the same way.
Yeah.
You're not, this is an evening of dining.
Sure.
One place. You're not gonna go to another place.
Right. Well, you're gonna do it for a
And
week.
you're gonna do it, how many nights is one person gonna go out to?
Right.
To dinner?
Because frankly, a lot of people don't have a lot of money either. You know, that's the
So
other.
you're not gonna
it's not
go
just
out
the
7
restaurants.
nights.
Yeah.
Some people will though, oddly enough. So I mean, you can't judge. You have no idea.
Maybe you can get all the restaurants and whatever to all agree to issue 10% off return visits. Encourage people to come back.
Different.
Yeah, we're taking all the suggestions. We appreciate that.
I mean, that's
And we are going to
you can probably,
encourage them to give discounts like that, but like we said, not necessarily require it,
They're gonna want plus business,
right?
plus business. Their regulars are already coming. How is this promotion gonna get a guy, a couple who heretofore has not come into my establishment to come into my establishment?
Well, it's something like Scott just said when he said there's the platform and then there's the promotion. For some of these smaller businesses that are just working so hard, kind of from open to close every night, some of them don't even do much marketing. When we share some of their promotions or events on Village social media, they really appreciate it. That gives them exposure to people who might not otherwise know there's a Colombian restaurant or a Venezuelan restaurant or whatever type of restaurant that they're not aware of. A lot of these businesses tell us that, they won't say, hey, it was filled from open to close, but a lot of them will say, hey, a couple people came in and they told me that they saw it on your social media, or they saw it on the chamber.
I can't tell you how much
Website.
the midday meetups and the cocktails and contacts, how much buzz those get around. I mean, I ran into somebody last week and we were talking, actually she works at Banbury Fair, and I was chatting with her and she said, oh, you chamber people, you eat a lot. Like you guys go out to the restaurants a lot. And I said, well, it's good that you're seeing it. I mean, it's good promo for them and they love it.
Yeah, I like to say that all the time here. We like our food in Bartlett. We've got a lot of new and old restaurants, and we've got a lot of the biggest food businesses in the Chicago area out in our business park. So
You consider the restaurants like Elevate, Delish Coffee, well, obviously they have lunch, so, you know, they're a restaurant.
Elevate has bowls.
Yeah, Elevate has
Absolutely.
bowls, all of those, like Cherry on Top even, like those kind of.
yeah, I don't think we'll necessarily send it to the video gaming cafe.
Correct, yep,
but
yep, okay.
Something like Elevate or ENV Nutrition.
Yep.
Delicious, absolutely.
Okay, good.
That's a very, very popular place. So yeah, we'll reach out to them, and these are all good suggestions. And Scott reminds me of this a lot. If you come up with something between now and the next meeting, or some other thought occurs to you about it, don't hesitate to let us know.
Who should we direct them to? Like tomorrow I'll go talk to a few of the restaurants. Just direct them to you if they're interested.
I think for now, yeah, we're going to work as a team to put together how it's going to work. But yeah, they can get on the list.
And I'd certainly like to, when we talk to our chamber members or the potential people, if you're talking to people who who aren't chamber members, I'd like to see, like we do for the Cocoa Crawl, we asterisk and bold, because it's on the chamber page, I asterisk and bold the chamber members.
Yeah, I would
and,
assume we would do.
Put some, give them some little bit higher recognition or whatever. And of course, those are the restaurants that I'll promote the whole week in general, but, our efforts will be concentrated more on those who are supportive of the chamber.
So if you look at a family, either families have very young children, or they have young children with teenagers. So if you want to attract the young people and the teenagers, you should probably direct your pricing towards the young people and teenagers, such as teenagers are half price. Kids maybe kids eat free, or kids eat half price. Bring in the whole family. Everybody gets something. If you're 16, if you're 5, you're gonna pay less. But come on in.
Yeah, I think Scott and Tony have a good handle on what to put in the email, and whatever they want to do, we're going to let them do it and promote it on their QR code. They know their restaurant.
My wife and I, we'll seek out deals where kids eat half off. I mean,
Yep,
yeah, absolutely.
Good suggestion.
yep, we'll give them suggestions and they can run. Good.
We'll probably bring this up again one more time before the week.
That was a lively discussion.
Yes.
We can move on to branding update now.
Yeah, I wanted to share some of the things and places where the You Belong, We Belong in Bartlett has made appearances since our last meeting. And on the left here, you see these two, our economic development team here in Chicago. Hadn't been at the ICSC show for a while. And then also we had, for those of you who've been on the EDC for a while, you know that we teamed up with a bunch of other communities along the Elgin O'Hare, and we had a group called Access O'Hare West. We were sharing a booth with other communities for probably the last 3 or 4 years. But now that you see these lovely banners that we had made and printed materials, we went back to having our own Bartlett-specific booth at ICSC last month, and I would say it went pretty well. I brought just some postcards we were handing out. You can see we got the table skirt too, the You Belong in Bartlett. We've talked about this quite a few times at the EDC, that we have a unique branding, community branding slogan that changes, that can be I belong in Bartlett, you belong in Bartlett, we belong in Bartlett. And so there on the right, you can see at Oktoberfest, the really cool We Belong in Bartlett sign right on the stage. At the next slide I put in there, you see the Belong in Bartlett making an appearance at the homecoming game. I know I saw a lot of you folks. The Friday night I was working at Oktoberfest, and we gave away a heck of a lot of the T-shirts.
And a huge thank you to Mary for the stage picture. I mean, it really turned out well. A lot of pictures were shared of that stage, and everybody who was at Oktoberfest saw it. I think it turned out really nice, so thank you to the chamber.
Yes, thank you again for the chamber for.
Tony, are there parameters for we, you? Like when you use different, I belong, we belong, you belong, like are there rules or just?
I wouldn't say there's steadfast rules. We've
Okay.
talked about it for, like, these are for economic development
Okay.
purposes, more or less. We're presenting that to developers and businesses that we're trying to attract into the village. But the We Belong is, you're not gonna, you're gonna see more of the We Belong at things like Oktoberfest and Cocoa Crawl and Restaurant Week and stuff like that. So it comes more from our branding consultants, where they said, we can use the different slogans and the different types of uses, inbound or outbound. The You Belong is more outbound. It's something we'll use in advertising and stuff like that. The We Belong is more what you're going to see when you're here in town. So I just wanted to point those out. And here's another slide I just threw in at ICSC Chicago. You have a copy, or I brought some of these postcards, but we printed some other branded materials. Truthfully, at these trade shows, a lot of people don't want to carry too much paper around anymore. But we had some flyers for our new TIF district, and just the fact, we had our whole meeting talking about the TIF district last time. When you tell developers it's a new TIF district, that their ears perk up a little bit. We had one developer that was very interested, I would say, and we've had follow-up meetings with them, and others that were kind of interested. But again, they have a lot of towns, probably 30 other towns there promoting themselves. But we were there mostly promoting our Lake Street TIF. Not only the Lake Street TIF, because some people are looking for a 2,400 square foot space in a shopping center, or some people are looking for a 1 acre piece of land on a corner in DuPage County only. So, but mostly when people came by with the line that, for those of you who've been to a lot of trade shows, go, so what's happening in Bartlett? Our answer was, well, we have a new 150 acre TIF district on the north end of our town. And actually, I think I made a slide. Anyway, it's in the packet. Gave an example of one of the flyers that we handed out. So I wanted to make sure to mention that and to show you the actual banners and some of the. It was at the EDC. I can't remember exactly which commissioner. I think it was Adam Lewinsky suggested we incorporate a map into some of our branded materials. So you can see one of them is basically a map, because when you're promoting yourself at large, whether it's the greater Chicago area or a regional publication or even at some point a national, you'd be surprised that a lot of people don't know exactly where Bartlett is. And, well, we were able to point it out to them without necessarily referring to the other towns that we're near, but kind of showing where we're located. So I would say it was good getting back to the trade show, and it was good having our own booth, and it was good getting our branding out. And I wanted to make sure everybody on the EDC knew about that. Sorry, I went backwards. And that's just the back of the postcard that we were handing out. So you're going to keep seeing us talking about branding at these meetings. We're working with the branding consultants to get on some media, possibly some radio and TV. So you're going to see a lot more Bartlett branding in the coming months and years. And any questions about any of that? Okay.
Well, there are no questions. That concludes branding update. We'll move on to new business.
Okay, just wanted to mention, a lot of times at these meetings, I say we're working with a few different businesses looking around, and we always are. Back to having a number of restaurants looking for spaces in the town, and are working with a Mexican restaurant concept that looks like it'll be going to the Galleria of Bartlett. That would be the shopping center on Army Trail Road that already has a Beef Shack in it and Atlas Chicken. So it looks like we'll be getting another restaurant in there. And just tonight, I was on my way here, I stopped to take a peek over at Midway Landings Bowling Alley that a lot of you, I'm sure, have seen that the owner of the shopping center is remodeling to Midway, I think he calls it Midway Bar, is doing some remodeling of the space. So that's another new sports bar type of business coming into town soon. And we have others looking still looking at bringing in a restaurant to the former Wheaties location in Westgate Commons. It's just kind of going a little slow, but we do have more businesses right on the horizon. I think our vacancy rate's going to look really healthy when we measure it again early next year.
Any news on the Rocks by Bobby? Did they actually open?
That's a good question. I
Back
forgot
and
to
forth
mention
with them several
I
times,
had
and
met with them and sent them to the chamber.
yeah, and I've gone back and forth with them. They called like on a Wednesday and wanted a grand opening on this Saturday, and I was like, I'm not even here on Saturday, like I can't do it, this past Saturday. But then, I don't know, then she said she had some cultural, like, timelines that she had to work within or something, so I don't know if they actually opened or not, because she still said she was gonna do like a soft community opening, but I didn't see anything. On the Rocks by Bobby, it's where Gambit's used to be. Yeah, I did, so I haven't seen a single,
Signage is up.
the signage is up, correct, yep. Yeah, I'll touch base with her again this week.
About 2 weeks ago. I don't know if they're officially open. They did say they would let me know. It's an interesting business. If you love whiskey and tequila, that's going to be your favorite business in town. They have 800 SKUs of whiskey, I believe. And I can't remember the exact number of tequila, but it's less than that, but it's like 200. They're going to have a kitchen there, so, they're going to have a food menu as well. And I wish I had put in a photo of the interior that I took, but suffice it to say, they've made it look very nice on the interior. You'll be surprised when you go in there how nice it looks, how comfortable it looks. And if they're not open yet, I'm assuming they'll be open by the next time we meet.
Hopefully we'll have a grand opening for them, so.
Yeah, they're planning on it. I know I sent them to
Yeah, and I've talked.
call you, and it's a good example of another eating and drinking establishment in the village.
And just under new business, I would add a great event for the downtown. In particular is the Halloween Fun Fest on the Saturday before Halloween. Bartlett Police Department shuts down a part of the road, and the kids dress up and do a little parade, and they go around to the businesses, and the businesses do a lot of fun games, and it's a good day for the restaurants too, because a lot of families will pop in and out of those places and spend some money. So spread the word for that as well.
And then on October 23rd, we have the event here at the museum. If anybody is interested in joining us, the Chamber and the Village and the History Museum are partnering for a night where they're going to be talking about the tolerance period in Bartlett. And they're asking all the businesses who participate to bring some sort of branded or logoed item that they can share for the museum's historical collection. So it's like from 4:30 to 6:30 on the 23rd, if anybody's interested.
We do have a lot going on.
I like to crawl a lot. Maybe we should do a restaurant crawl. A restaurant crawl.
We're gonna start with Restaurant Week in February and
right.
go from there.
Crawl if they want to.
Little bites,
Right.
you know. A little bit here, a little bit there. Looks that concludes no business apparently, so we can move on to the ever popular adjournment.
Motion we adjourn?
I had a question.
All in favor? Aye.
You had a question?
I got a question.
Motion carries. Oh, go ahead. Robert?
I've been seeing more of these flags around town that these businesses are putting out in front of their places. I thought we had a talk about that a couple months ago. Would the village decide on anything about that?
It's still not proceeded to the village board yet. Still a work in progress. And it gets enforced on typically when it's on public right-of-way rather than private property.
Some of the flags I seen were not on their property.
They can put it on their property.
They say some of the flags that I have seen are not on their property.
If you've seen one of those, you're free to let us know. We do have a code enforcement division, and they do enforce against that. It's typically complaint-based.
I'm just wondering if the village is going around looking at who's what, unless they just don't care.
There's a few things involved with the signage. One is the village code itself, which allows for an element of temporary signage for a certain period of time on a certain piece of property. And the other side of it is First Amendment rights. So we have to evaluate whether or not it's in the vision triangle, whether or not it affects First Amendment rights, and whose property it is on. Based on an evaluation, code makes a determination.
Motion to adjourn again?
Okay.
I second, third, fourth.
Motion carries. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
See you next month.
See you next month.